What grade would Greg Garcia give to the Padres for the first half that is almost behind us, past the midway point? But, first half as far as Major League Baseball goes, culminates with the All-Star break, which is ahead early next week. One more against the D-backs as we chat with you, and then a series against the Phillies this weekend at Petco Park, and then an All-Star break that I think a lot of players are looking forward to, including Fernando Tatis Jr., who apparently had scheduled a vacation and then found out that he was going to be an all-star. So happy surprise there. We'll hear what the fellas in the clubhouse have to say, or had to say, I should say, on Wednesday. Derek just wrapping up some TV duties, and then he's going to hop on the pod. Looking forward to that. And of course, always excited to have Greg Garcia on to share his thoughts on the Padres, what we've seen so far. And what would Mike Shildt, his favorite manager ever, what would Mike Shildt be saying to this team right around this time, given the current state of things? We'll ask Greg about that. Thanks to OG's, the sponsor of the On Friar podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Friar and the NBC7 sports team. Hit up one of OG's many locations around San Diego County. Maybe go check out the Midsummer Classic. Have a good meal. Check out their awesome beer list. Always updating their menu. Tons of specials. OG's is a great spot. Again, bunch of locations around San Diego County. Thanks to OG's for all they do for the On Fire podcast. Without further ado, the walk-up music. It is the On Fire podcast brought to you by NBC7. I am Darnay Tripp. Derek Togerson going to be joining us here in a few. And for the time being, we've got the company of Greg Garcia, former Friar, proud Valhalla high school grad, with us again. Always love having you on, Greg. How you been, man?
Good, Darnay. Yeah, always enjoy popping on here with you and talking Padre baseball. But yeah, everything's good over here.
We were just talking. You've continued your athletic endeavors with what was that, a school dance we saw on the gram a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was my daughter does dance. She's done it for the last couple years now, and so she practices a recital, and that was one of her dance recitals. And they have the dads come up and try to participate. So it's the second year I've done it. Yeah, we were just kind of talking how nervous I was. I was telling you, my biggest fear was going to be to embarrass Olivia, right? So, I mean, leading up to that performance, I had hour practices in my bedroom just going over the dances. And I think Hannah only posted a little snippet of it. My wife Hannah, it was 9 minutes of choreography that we had to learn. I think the one you everyone saw,
Whoa.
yeah. So this was you got just a little taste of what actually happened, and sweaty palms the whole time. 100%. So nervous, but I'm glad it's done, and it's a great memory that I'll always have with Olivia. So something we had fun doing.
I mean, the video that I saw, the minute and a half, whatever, you crushed it. Hats off to you. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to have something like that down the line. We got 2.5-year-old twins. So that stuff is coming my way eventually. And I thought about that in the moment watching that video. I was like, man, how would I do with this? This would be nerve wracking. How would you is there a Major League Baseball experience that matched that in terms of nerves? I'm sure debut is like off the charts, but
I'm not just saying this, like, when because like, you're kinda backstage, like, you're on the side and you're about to go on stage. It rivaled, like, the first at bat in the big leagues. Like, I'm not joking. I might have felt more comfortable in that at bat than I did dance. I mean, I'm a terrible dancer. I mean, it's like, that is no rhythm, it's horrible. So, I think, like, my heart rate, like, I was feeling my pulse and my heart rate was just going through the roof. So, I think I was actually more nervous to do that dance than anything else.
you crush it. You crush it. And I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense. Baseball is a thing you've done your entire life. Like you get that. It's dancing. It takes you out of your element a little bit. So I can understand that. Well, whatever Hannah shared, you crush it. I even sent her a comment. I was like, what a legend. This guy. Look at him.
Oh,
What can you
man.
do?
Oh, man, I appreciate
So
it.
hats off to you. Hats off to you. Um Excited to get your thoughts on the Padres. Like I said, Derek's going to join us. Was in the clubhouse this afternoon. Give us the pulse of the team heading into the last 4 games of the first half here. But why don't you go ahead and give me your grade? If you had a grade for the Padres first half, one that started with a 15-4 record,
Yeah.
terrific first few weeks. Tatis looked like an MVP. Merrill was incredible. He's had some injury stuff. Things the last couple months have been a little bit rough. Taking everything into account, what grade are you giving to the Padres at this point?
Yeah, I gotta go with like I feel like an A. I mean, I really do. I think with everything going into the season, there's some uncertainty there with maybe the starting rotation, which has been amazing. I mean, the bullpen has been awesome, and getting off to that great start that they did kind of gave them that cushion to kind of go through some bumps and bruises, dealing with injuries. They've dealt with adversity and they've come through. Obviously, you'd like to get on another streak and go have another 15-4, and not to say that probably will happen at some point. They're going to go on another run here with the players and the personnel that they have on that team. So it's just a matter of time. So I think they've positioned themselves in a great spot to kind of do what Mike Schilt teams do, which is go on a great second half run and start playing their best baseball, in August and September, and then hopefully into October and hopefully into a World Series. So, yeah, grade for me would have to be an A.
Yeah, it's those you're Mike Schultz boy, of course. You're gonna give him
That's
you're gonna
it.
give him a favorable grade, you know. I
Eh,
might be closer to like a B plus or a B, you know. They're
I,
outside of the playoff picture as it currently stands, you know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that they're doing right now, I know nobody likes these close games, and it feels like we playing a bunch of one-run games.
Mm.
And I do think I heard somebody say it on the radio, maybe today or yesterday. I can't remember. It was on one of the 97.3 station, the broadcast. But that those playing in those types of games will help you prepare for October. I mean, it's nice to have that 10-2 win, but the team also needs to understand how to play in those pressure cooker games when every play is magnified because the score is so close. So I think it's almost a benefit for us having some of these close games now, feeling that pressure of having to almost play perfect to secure the win. That way in October, you're going to have those battles, but we'll be kind of battle tested with what we dealt with in the regular season. So I know it can be frustrating for fans at times. They want to see the big wins, the 8-2, 10-2, but honestly, I think this could help us going into October.
You know what is funny is like if the season was flipped and say they were playing kind of sub 500 ball the first 70 some games and the hot streak that we saw in the beginning of the season came here in the last month, then we'd probably all say, "Oh yeah, this is a plus season." You know, it's playing out
Right.
just like last year where they were 50-50 and then going a tear, and here we go, it's happening again. And so like the context and how the chips kind of fall into place that does matter, you know, especially in baseball when we're living in it like day in and day out. The swings are so dramatic. So I do wonder what our perception would be if they scuffled a little bit and we're just now getting hot rather than storming out of the gates. And now you're kind of like, okay, where did that team go?
No, that's a great point, and I think I'm right there with you. I think a lot of perceptions of it would be changed if it was reversed, and we're kind of going into the break, going on this 15-4 record. I think people are probably feeling a lot better, but I think as a baseball fan, we all have to remember that it is such a long season, right? 162 games, so it's important to just look at the entire body of work. So to be 6 or 7 games above 500 right before the break, right in the thick of that wild card push, I think it is a positive for the San Diego Padres. It's just about getting in to that October dance, and then anything can happen at that point. So, especially with how the postseason's constructed now, where more teams are getting in than they did in the past. So, yeah, that's a great point that you brought up.
You know, and I think about last year, obviously, because again, they were maybe one game over, yeah, 50-49 going into the second half, lost the first game against Cleveland. Then they run off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight wins. And you're like, okay, this team is starting to do something. It made me think of a Padres team that you were on in 2019 when expectations were pretty low going in that season. There was excitement because of Manny, because of Tatis, but maybe
Toddy.
not the same expectations that
Oh yeah,
we've been dealing with the last few years. And then you win 3 straight against the Dodgers going into the
into the
break.
break.
You're
Yeah.
500,
Oh yeah.
but then you lose 4 straight and 7 out of 8, and it kind of took the
Tatis
wind out of it.
Tatis gets hurt. Tatis gets
Yeah,
hurt.
that's right. Did he get
Yeah.
hurt during that stretch?
I don't know if it was shortly after. I know he didn't play a ton into the second half, but I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. That 2019, I can remember that series at Dodger Stadium before the break, and we took 3 out of 4, and we're like, "Hey, this team, what if you look at that roster compared to the roster now," and we were right in the thick of it. That was fun times, and yeah, obviously tougher second half, but yeah, yeah, good point.
Was there a real sense of belief at that point?
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, I can't speak. I've never been on a team like with the Rockies or something like that where I've never had in the big leagues, minor leagues that you've kind of like you're out of it from the get-go. But I would say all these teams that are hovering around 500, if you're thinking the Diamondbacks are throwing in the towel as a group, I'm not saying their fan base or the media might be, but as that group inside that locker room, they're not throwing in the towel for sure. They still think they're a dangerous team. You have to have that belief because if not, it makes coming to the yard every single day almost impossible to keep that positive mindset moving forward.
And how important are those games? I mean, there's still so much baseball to be played in terms of just kind of setting the tone for the second half. Does how you start after the break matter? I mean, I know it does from the standpoint of we're getting up on the trade deadline.
Right.
But do you guys look at those first couple weeks like, are we really got to do something? Or is it still kind of like, all right, there's time. Like you want to play well, but it's not going to necessarily decide anything one way or another?
Yeah, and I think every player is different. For me, I never liked that feeling after the break. I like to be in the dog days of summer. I like to get into that kind of robot mode as a baseball player, where very routine, playing every day, staying in rhythm. For me, the All-Star break really kind of throws a wrench in that. It's a good time to get away and kind of relax, but I always felt like those first 2 or 3 games were not like spring training games, but kind of like, all right, here we go. Let's get back into that robot mode of everyday baseball, everyday grind, because you just took 3 or 4 days of not going to the field, not taking batting practice, not getting completely out of your routine. So I don't think there's an onus on win or loss in those 2 or 3 games, maybe that first 4 games. But for me as a player, it was always about getting back into that rhythm. I thought that was the most important thing as quickly as I could.
Yeah, no doubt. Looks like Derek is so you can bring him in. Oh, Derek, you got a party behind you, Derek?
Well, it's Margaritaville night at Petco Park, so I thought, you know what, we got to go to Margaritaville. So we're here at Margaritaville at the 5 o'clock somewhere bar right here downtown at 6th and J. It's buzzing. I mean, look, they got a tribute band playing. We got
Oh
it's a
yeah.
really cool, like the biggest rooftop bar in San Diego. Like I've not checked this place out yet. I'm going to come back and check this place out. This is really, really cool. And yeah, which is perfect for the fitting, the whole atmosphere of what's going on at Petco. Guys are over there getting ready to honor the late great Jimmy Buffett. And as a joke I made it for, even if they don't win this, come Monday it'll be all right because the All-Star break starts. So we're all good.
What you got in that cup there, Derek?
I'm not going to answer that question, Darnay.
All right, very good, very good. That is the right answer. Greg was just talking about the All-Star break and got his grade on the first half. He gave them an A for the first half so far. I told him I might not be so friendly, but where would you peg this team at this point, Derek? If we were to grade them going in the All-Star break, how would you place them?
Can we break it down to different? Okay, overall, I'd agree with Greg. I think it's an A minus because when you're talking about how many injuries they've overcome and the fact that they've still 6 games over 500 and they played some really good baseball teams. They're playing some really good baseball. They've overcome. They're overachieving what they should be doing right now. So yes, agree with Greg. I go A minus, but not quite the full blown A there. But if you're talking about the pitching staff, I mean it's flying colors. They're 100%. They're honor students. They're on the dean's list. Put them in Harvard. They've been fantastic. The offense, however, is dragging this down to like a B minus because it was so good for a while, and then it was so bad for a while. And if we could just get Greg, I want to ask you this. Maybe you guys already hit on this, but when you've got this much talent in a lineup 1 through 6, And it's like a guy here and then maybe two guys here. We saw at the beginning of the year when everybody's clicking, this is a great offense. But how do you fill in all the holes in the lineup when you got like, okay, Manny's hot for 2 weeks, and then Merrill's hot for 2 weeks, and then Toddy's hot for 2 weeks, and then Xander's hot for 2 weeks, but they're not all doing it together.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think I've been on teams just like that where it seems like, you have one or two superstars kind of getting hot at different times. And then kind of similar to how the Padres started the season with everybody getting off to a good start, you can see what this team is capable of if everybody gets clicking at the right time. Much easier said than done. And but I do think hitting is contagious, right? So if you get a couple guys going, it might take some pressure off some other guys feeling like they got to carry the load. And I think as the Padres continue on and have that push into the second half, is keeping that mentality strong of kind of like pulling the rope together. Not one person is going to win this World Series. Baseball's not like that. You need everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. And I know they talked about that earlier in the year, like passing the baton to the next guy, trusting the guy in the on-deck circle to get the job done. So I'm looking forward to them getting back to that type of style of baseball kind of into the second half.
You were just in the clubhouse. Anything notable? Anything stand out from the scrums with the fellas?
Good news on Yu Darvish. He came out just fine. He's going to start again on Saturday. So that's always with you is kind of the maybe you're not sure if he's going to have to take another step back. We know he's going to throw out, and Ryan Berger is actually throwing on Friday. So he's able to come back from that line drive he took off the arm. So the pitching staff has got a couple of nice reinforcements. Also an update on Michael King. He threw off a sloped mound. So that's a big deal as he starts to come back. Looking about probably like an August return for him. And then just on the side, I talked to Joe Musgrove. He's playing catch up to 120 feet now. So that's, nice. The mound obviously is 60 feet. So 120 feet is like Greg, as like a pretty good, decent get in the hole at shortstop kind of throw to first base. So it's it's progressing nicely for Joe as well. That was kind of the really big deal. The rest of it is just kind of talking to Mike Schill, who Greg, very well, about how to get this offense going. And, as he's not really a tinkerer. And Darnay, we've talked about this on this podcast as well. He's kind of moving guys around the lineup a little bit. Gavin Sheets is moving up. Jackson Merrill's moving down. He's tinkered with the top four guys in the lineup a little bit. Greg, how out of character is that for a guy like Schulte, who really likes having, at least for his guys who he know, like, Albert Pujols sitting third. You're done. Yeah. Let's figure the rest of this out.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think the players are so dynamic on the Padres that they really can hit all around that lineup. You have guys in those first 7 spots in the lineup that could hit third, they can hit second, they can hit sixth. And that's just a credit to those players and those hitters. Whereas somebody like myself, when I played, I'm either hitting maybe first or second, or I'm hitting ninth. Like there was not a lot of flexibility on where I could hit in a lineup. So I think that's more so Mike just being able to have dynamic players at his disposal, and also players that are willing to kind of bounce around the lineup. I think I've played with guys that want to hit third because maybe it's where they've always hit, and they feel like, I can't hit second, I can't hit fifth, I need to hit third. I heard from Jackson Merrill on an interview yesterday when they talked about moving him down. He was basically like, yeah, it doesn't matter to me, and I think that's a great mentality to have. So I think Mike is so in tune with his guys that he knows maybe this is the right button to push, moving guys around, shuffling around. He's so into it that I wouldn't question any of it. And I think it's a credit to the players being able to kind of adapt to whatever lineup he puts out there and kind of trusting in him.
Yeah, and the other thing that came out of it too, it was a real quick, Darnay, is that Schulte made sure to make the point that none of these guys are taking their at-bats to the field with them. Again, bringing up Jackson Merrill, 2 home run saving catches, one of them that helped them win a game on Tuesday night. And again, how difficult is that from a ball player perspective? Because Jackson's 3 for 31 in June at the plate, but he's out there making these highlight reel catches and hitting cutoff men from the outfield. Like, to separate those two things, it can't be natural to be able to, when one part of your game is struggling like that, to just throw it aside and still continue to focus on the other part. How impressive is that?
Yeah, super impressive. And the best ball players that I was ever around, whenever they went into slumps offensively, their mindset shifted to, I'm not getting hits. Well, nobody else is going to get hits on their team. And they took that mindset to defense. And that's what the best players in the world do. because they know, okay, I'm not impacting the game on the offensive end, but I sure as heck can impact this game on the defensive end. And we saw that a few nights ago, or maybe it was last night with Jackson with the robbing the home run. So he's taking that mindset going into the field.
17 Greg Garcia hit 248 with a 718 OPS. That 718 OPS would be 6th on this year's Padres. So I'm hitting you like 5th or 6th, Greg. You're not 9th. You're either leading off or you're right there in the middle of the order.
Darnay, we're in trouble if I'm hitting 6 for this team. I'll tell you that. We're in some serious trouble.
You'd be doing better than well, I'm not going to say any names, but
1 point.
You would have
1 point ahead of Luis Ariz currently.
Oh my God.
On the topic of Jackson Merrill, is that like, as a clubhouse guy, I know you're like, knowing you, Greg, you're very much like, you're not the type to overstep. But like veteran guy who's been around, you could probably offer some sort of insight. What would a conversation between you and Jackson Merrill be like right about now? Like, if you felt compelled to say something, a word of encouragement, or nothing at all, like, how would you approach a young guy who, as we've seen, is so good, but he's just going through a normal thing that major league ball players go through?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point you bring up there, and I think it takes kind of like just being around Jackson and kind of seeing his demeanor from afar. It looks like he's still under control. Maybe inside, maybe he's feeling a little anxious and about not playing well. But from what I'm seeing, he feels like he has it all under control. So baseball is all routine based, right? So if he's trying to change something in terms of routine or trying to mix things up in terms of his preparation, I would just have him get back to going to what he does well, And for me, whenever I was in a slump offensively, I would go up to my manager and say, hey, if there's an opportunity for a hit and run tonight, I'm ready for it. Like, you get something like that to get you going. Or I know bunting's kind of out of the game, but for a guy like Jackson who's 3 for 30, lay down a bunt, get a base hit, get yourself feeling good, see that average go up that you're seeing on the scoreboard every day. I think that's important as well. So getting back to what he does well, but to me from afar, he just seems like he's still in a good spot. And there's so many good veterans in that clubhouse that have gone through it and come out the other side of it. So I know he's getting kind of the treatment he needs in terms of veteran leadership for sure.
How much of this offensive struggle is simply bad luck? I'll bring up an example on Sunday. Xander Bogaerts has the bases loaded. He hits a ball 102 miles an hour off the bat with a 31-degree launch angle. I looked it up on Baseball Savant. That's a home run 64% of the time. And it's a base hit 88% of the time. He flies out to the base of the fence. So how much of this is just like they're kind of snake bit with a lot of this stuff? Because, I mean, any other day, it's the barometric pressure is 2 points higher, that ball's gone.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point. And that was something I always tried to lean on as a teammate, because when you're Xander Bogaerts or you're Jackson Merrill and you're hitting balls hard and they're getting caught and you're getting no result for that, you never want to be the guy, like, you want to scream to everyone, I'm hitting everything hard, they're getting caught, it's bad luck. You want to say it with every ounce of your being, but then you don't say it because it's selfish and you feel like you're maybe complaining or crying or whatever it might be. So as a teammate, I always wanted to make sure I was in tune to what my teammates were doing. So I'd go up to a Jackson Merrill and be like, man, hey, you should have been, 3 for 3 today. You smashed 3 balls right at people. So keep going. Because that, just feeling that, and I know the hitting coaches are probably telling them that, because when you get that kind of validation from a teammate or a coach, it really does help you kind of, all right, I'm doing the right things, just stay the course. Because like you said, Derek, there's so much luck involved. After you square up that baseball, you have no control of where it goes after that. So I'm hoping somebody's coming up to those guys and saying, hey, keep doing what you're doing, results will follow. That's kind of the old adage in baseball. Just try to hit the ball as hard as many times as you can, and they'll start falling.
They need a few more cheeseburgers in paradise, and then that'll give them the extra oomph, and then that ball's going, right?
That's it. That's exactly right.
I just saw like 3 of them walk by. I'm like, God, I'm hungry now.
It's good.
As far as Tatis goes, what are you seeing from Fernando of late? He had the worst month of his career in May. slowly has kind of gotten back to form a little bit. We just haven't seen the power. Look at his numbers so far in July. He's hitting 276, not bad. A 417 on base. He's got 9 strikeouts so far this month to go with 7 walks and 8 hits. So on base at a higher clip than usual, but a 414 slug. And, hasn't homered since June 23rd. He went through a long stretch where he didn't go yard, did it against the Royals, did it 2 days later against the Nats. But 2 total in the month of June and yet to get his first here in July. And I think that's kind of been a big question. Like, what's the deal with Tatis? What should our expectations be for Tatis? He's had so many fits and stops throughout his career. And then I find myself thinking, like, we've seen him hit nukes this season. We saw him hit nukes during the postseason. Clearly it's still in there. So it makes me wonder how much of it is just like a mechanics and technique thing where just the fraction of a difference between a fly ball and a 420 footer is that what it is? What are you seeing from him?
Yeah, for me on Toddy, expectations are through the roof for that kid, and because we know what he's capable of. We're talking about a guy that's an all-star this year, and I think I've never been a power hitter in my life, but I've been around power hitters, and I do believe home runs do come in bunches. They do tend to come in bunches. To your point, Darnay, it is a fraction of an inch, right? Where you're just maybe getting underneath a pitch a little bit too much, or whatever circumstance, winds blowing in, whatever it might be. So it would not shock me is, after the break or even tonight, Toddy hits 3 home runs. Like he has that in him. And I think what I like to see from Toddy now, and this is a mature hitter, is that he's not trying to hit himself out of this slump. And you made a point about the on base being over 400, right now. And there's a couple reasons for that. He's missing pitches that are probably in the zone that he normally hits. Whenever I was slumping and wasn't hitting the pitch that I was supposed to hit, my walks would go up because you're just fouling pitches off that you should be hitting. And now you're getting into deeper counts. But what professional hitters do is they don't just throw that away. Oh, I missed the cookie right down the middle, throw the at bat away. That's what a lot of young hitters do. You can see Fernando kind of evolving as a hitter and saying, okay, I missed my pitch. Instead of getting frustrated, let me keep battling, foul off a couple more pitches and take my walk. Now I can try to steal second or make something happen on the bases. So I like what I'm seeing from that aspect. And I do believe the home runs will come because he's just that talented. He's that strong. You said it just now. We've seen him hit bombs all across the yard. So I feel like the home run should be coming shortly.
Yeah, Greg, you said something that's very important right there is you're not trying to hit himself out of the slump. I remember Joe DiMaggio said long time ago, when you're not going well, you got 6 hitting coaches who are always trying to help you out.
Oh, yeah.
It's your bartender and your the guy at the hotel. He said find one guy who you can listen to and trust for your entire career, and that's what he did. Obviously, it worked out pretty well for him. So when
Totally.
it's not going well like that, who is giving you advice? Is it the guy at the grocery store who's like, man, you got to choke up. Man, try to hit the ball the other way. Like your therapist is like, hey, listen, man, I love you, but you got to quit striking out. Like how many people are in your ear versus how many people you need to cut out and just do what you need to do?
Yeah, for me, I like you said, I kept it a pretty small circle. When I was going through some slumps, I had a big league stint where I think it was an 0 for 31. I think I was 0 for 31, and as a utility player, that lasted almost like a month because I wasn't playing every day. So I went like a whole month without getting a hit. Like imagine that, showing up to the yard every day for a month and going 0 for something, 0 for 4, 0 for 1, 0 for 1, 0 for 4, whatever it was, for 31 at bats. And that was tough. And I leaned on family for sure because they know you best and they'll love you even when you're playing bad. So leaned on family a lot. And then I was lucky enough with the Cardinals. I had some really great teammates. A couple guys that come to mind would be like a Steven Piscotty and a Colton Wong, 2 guys that would always put their arms around my shoulder. They could tell I was maybe going through it and really helped me kind of keep going, keep my confidence high. And then also guys like John Mabry, who was my hitting coach, and Bill Miller. Those guys were unreal in my development as a hitter and understanding, how to just keep going each day and keep grinding and stay the course and good things will happen.
This month I haven't been able to find it yet, but we can leave that in the past. When during your time with Manny Machado, did Did the number 3,000 never just randomly kind of come to mind watching him?
He's got a chance, doesn't he? He just got 2,000 hits, and he's got so much left in front of him. I mean, he's playing great. This guy is unbelievable. What a talent! And we're so lucky as San Diegans to be able to watch this guy play every day. I mean, generational type talent, and we have a couple of those on this roster. So. I remember my dad. I think I probably told you guys this story when LaDainian Tomlinson was here with the Chargers. That running back we had, LT. My dad told me, "Hey, these guys don't come around all that often. You better enjoy this." I'm telling you now, enjoy these Manny Machado years, enjoy these Fernando Tatis years. These guys are generational type talents, and absolutely 3,000 is, I think, in the picture. If Manny just stays healthy and continues to go on, he's just what a tremendous talent he is. He's unbelievable, man.
And then also, 500 home runs is not out of reach. I mean, he's under 150 away. Like there are 7 players in baseball history in both the 500 home run and 3,000 hit club.
It's incredible.
Numbers like that with all the guys who have played, having played it, you just got to go like, how? That's like Hank Aaron territory.
Yeah, what he's been able to do in his career up to this point is already Hall of Fame worthy. And like he said, he's got so much baseball ahead of him. He's just such an incredible talent. And I think a lot of times those guys that are that good, it gets taken for granted, And I saw they brought up a kind of a comparison between him, Trout, and Bryce Harper. And actually, Manny's numbers are better than all Trout and Harper, but he really doesn't get that talked about like he should. I think we appreciate him here in San Diego, and obviously he was a teammate of mine, so the utmost respect for him. I get to see it from the bench view. He's just an unreal talent.
Derek, anything else you want to tee Greg up on before we let him go? Anything you want to throw his way?
No, yeah, but Greg, it's awesome to get to talk to you, man, because you have this is a rare skill, because to understand the game as well as you do, but also be able to disseminate that information in easily digestible pieces is a talent. So thanks for coming on and doing this and sharing your knowledge and information with us. Like, I learn something talking to you every time. It's really, really cool to do it. Man. I guess I would just kind of go off of what's going on right now, but all the time that you played ball at the big league level, what's the one thing where you look at and you just kind of go like, that's one thing that I can't believe I saw, and I don't think I'll ever see it again?
Oh man, that is a great question.
First of all, you can watch any game and something new is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for all those kind words, Derek. That means a lot coming from you. And I always enjoy jumping on this podcast and talking baseball. As you guys know, I'm in insurance now. I don't get a lot of chance to talk baseball, so I really do enjoy talking baseball and talking about our Padres. And then as far as something that I think I'll never see again, it was actually something that I participated in. And you know me, I really like to brag about my baseball career because I was such a talent. But I was part of a Cardinals team that had 3 pinch hit home runs in one game. And I don't think that will ever happen again in baseball, because there's not a lot of pinch hitters anymore. We were playing against the Braves, and I was actually one of those pinch hitters that went deep. It was me, Aledmys Diaz, and Jeremy Hazelbaker. And I believe we have a ball in the Hall of Fame because it was a major league record. Now you guys can fact check that, but thank you. I was pretty remarkable as a player, so that would be something that I don't think will ever happen again. But yeah, like you said, you see something new at the field every single day, and that's what keeps the game exciting.
Well, you're right. With no pitchers hitting anymore, I mean, how many games are you going to find with 3 pinch hit at bats for one team?
Exactly.
15, 16 innings.
Yeah, I think that record's safe. I think we're good on that one. I think we'll be okay.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Pretty funny.
Awesome. You won by 3 runs. So I mean, this wasn't big. Like a 12-2 game. These were, and yours made it 5-4 to 6-4 in the 9th inning.
I think I was the last one. Yeah, I was I think it was Aledmys was first, and then, or maybe Hazelbaker was first. I don't know.
So it's perfect, Greg. Yours was the insurance run.
Exactly. That was awesome. I love that. Tied it in perfectly.
Derek and I will stick around and wrap things up. Greg, thanks so much as always. I echo Derek's sentiments. Always get so excited when I know you're coming on. So thanks as always for your time, and enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the All-Star break, and I'm sure I'll be texting you again before long to get you back on, so that you have another excuse to talk some ball.
There you go. Awesome, guys. Again, thanks for having me on. And yeah, let's get a Padres win tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
That's right. Thanks,
See you
Greg.
guys.
Can we put
That
dude on
was
payroll?
Greg Garcia. I honestly, he's the best. I love having him on, and you said it perfectly. I mean, he just he conveys his experience and his insight so well. I always look forward to it. All right, Derek, we are approaching the All-Star break. We are approaching the trade deadline. There's lots of consternation about Dylan Cease, about Martin Maldonado, left field. What does this team need to do? What should it do to make sure the second half looks more like 2024 than 2023 or 2021?
Well, as you saw, AJ came on the MLB network radio and said, we're looking for bats. So we need to add another bat or two. He's thinking in the right place. He's thinking in the right direction. What kind of bat that is, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'd even look at Marcelo Zuna and get a pure DH in here. What you need is some right-handed slug. Right-handed slug is absolutely necessary because the guys who are supposed to be doing that, outside of Manny Machado and occasionally Fernando Tatis Jr., are not doing that. So find a guy who can get you that some kind of power somehow, somewhere, some way, and then get. Gavin Sheets has gotten a lot better defensively in left field, but he's not a natural outfielder. He's a big, strong, strapping kid. He needs to be a corner infielder, either first base or a DH kind of guy. He's making a yeoman's effort in left field, but it's not a natural fit for him whatsoever. So credit to him for trying it. But find a legitimate left fielder out there so that Sheets can do what he's really good at, is playing first and matching the ball as a DH. So those are the things. I mean, another starting pitcher would be great. Sandy Alcantara, of course, comes to mind. But that's nowhere near as important as the bats. What say you?
I think, the catcher situation with Schilt pinch hitting for Maldonado again in the fifth inning and having to do so with like a Trenton Brooks, and I think that's unearthed or rekindled the Luis Campusano conversation. He continues to hit really well in AAA. And, even Jim Russell had me on this afternoon. Should they just go for it for a stretch with Luis Campusano? And I have a tough time finding a reason why they shouldn't at this point, when they haven't really given him a real good, fair opportunity this season. Like, why would you not just bring him up and let him get daily or close to daily at-bats for a couple weeks and see if he can spark something?
It'd have to be as a DH, because the cold, hard truth is pitchers don't like throwing to him nearly as much as they like throwing to Maldonado and Diaz. And Maldonado and Diaz, when it comes to run prevention, are exponentially better than Luis Campusano. So if you want to give him plenty of bats, I have no problem with that, because I like the DH has been setting the world on fire anyway. I would say if he comes up, give him those looks, give him those at-bats, but it's probably going to have to be almost exclusively as a designated hitter, because what the pitching staff has going with those two catchers working now is really working nicely.
I think, people are wondering if Mike Schilt is getting a little frustrated with the situation. He said something, I think it was last night, to the effect of, like, I'm working with what I got, you manage with the pieces that you have. And, you could very easily read into that and say, like, hey, he's asking for help. He wants some help. He's not satisfied with the guys that he has. Again, that's reading between the lines a little bit. But I think, we've seen things fracture a little bit, and I think it's too early. Schilt and Preller have had a really good bond and a good connection, but you can't help but kind of wonder a little bit when we're going this far with a couple spots in the lineup that aren't tenable.
I think that I heard that quote, and I think it was more Schilty going, guys, Johnny Bench isn't walking through the door anytime soon. All right? Like, I think it wasn't so much like, this is what it gives me, and it's crap, so much as it is, guys, like, this is, what do you want to do here? Like, these are our guys, and we're rolling with them. So I think the context could be taken either way. I'm going to choose, knowing Schilt the way I do, and now he defends his players like crazy, that he probably meant it more to be like, guys, these guys are doing what they can do. Like, don't look at me to – got bubbles going now. I woke up in Margaritaville. Don't look at me to try and turn this catching group into Yogi Berra and Mike Piazza. It's not happening. So this is what we've got, and we love our guys, and we're going to go to bat with them because that's what we're dealing with right now. You know, JT Real Muto in his prime is not going to suddenly show up behind the plate for the Padres.
Yeah. What do you make of Dylan Cease at this point? You know, we kind of had our first foray into a true trade deadline pod last week. If you haven't watched that episode, go run it back. We talked about the potential of being buyers and sellers, and Cease being one of those guys that you mentioned. Another game where he gets blown up a little bit. He had, I think, one multi-homer game his first 16 starts. He now was 3 in a row, 2-2, and then 3 homers allowed last night against the Diamondbacks. You know, it makes me think of Michael King a little bit in terms of early 2024 Michael King, when he was allowing a bunch of homers and the results weren't great, and somehow got that figured out, and he was sensational the rest of the way. And so I wonder about that with Dylan Cease, but we're so far into the season, his numbers aren't great. And I think everybody's thinking, okay, that could be potentially a piece, but we've also seen it when it's good. So it's hard from that standpoint as well.
Well, he's torpedoing his own trade value at this point. It's not so much the home runs that bother me. It's the 2 walks in front of the home run that bother me. You know, you keep the lack of command in the strike zone, because that's what we talk about, Darnay. You look at the stuff is good. No, the ball that Suarez hit out last night, that was a slider on the outside part. It wasn't a bad pitch. The other ones were fastballs that were bad pitches. The grand slam especially was – Perdomo can't handle the ball up under his hands while you're throwing the fastball down where he can get to it. I don't understand that. It's a mislocation. I don't understand why he's not commanding his pitches inside the strike zone as well, because the stuff – is every bit as good as Dylan Cease. His stuff has been when he's been throwing no-hitters and one of the best pitchers in the National League for a time last year in May. So I don't know. I think with him, with his mindset and his ability, you keep on holding on to hope that he's going to turn back into Dylan Cease again. But with every start that doesn't happen, a little bit of that hope dissipates. So now you start to think, well, somebody else will certainly gamble on him, right? Do we make a deal? Like and start packaging some things here, because we know Darnay he's not coming back. He's a Scott Boras client. He is taken off. He's not going to accept a qualifying offer. He's going to hit free agency, and somebody will gamble on the stuff with like the Blake Snell deal up in San Francisco, where it's $80 million over 2 years with an opt out after year 1. Like he's going to get something like that somewhere. So this is all you've got from Dylan Cease. So is it capitalizing on what he can do for you after the trade deadline? You hope. Or capitalizing on what he can bring you after the trade deadline and work from there. And honestly, I don't know the answer to that right now.
You mentioned Blake Snell, you know, a 4-seam slider dependent pitcher. Dylan Cease, a 4-seam slider dependent pitcher. I remember even just going back to Chris Paddock and like having to really talking about getting the changeup involved a little bit more, or was it the curveball? Expanding his repertoire a little bit. And, you know, Joe Musgrove, his variety of offerings, he's always talking about, well, I had to rely on this pitch a little bit more because I didn't have the feel for, say, the cutter. Dylan was one of those guys. Was it a 2-seamer he was tinkering with to start the season, or a changeup that he was tinkering with to start the season?
Yeah.
And you know, we talked earlier this season about, okay, let's go back to being Dylan Cease. Those weren't really working. But then I wonder, is this kind of the trouble with being so dependent on 2 pitches, where if they're not delivering, you don't have something else you can fall back on just to kind of get through an extra inning or 2 and limit some damage?
Well, actually, Jeff Herrera, our photojournalist, is with me. We were talking about this in the clubhouse today with Robert Suarez, right? He's a 4-seam fastball guy. He's a kind of a one-trick pony. But if that one trick is really good, you can do it. If you're a magician and you have one trick, but that one trick is I can teleport, or I can always suddenly show like Nightcrawler from the X-Men and show up over there like that. If that's your one trick, that's a really good trick. So if you're Dylan Cease, you got 2 tricks, but it's that fastball slider combination that are both incredible, both top 20 pitches in baseball. So if you're a magician and your 2 tricks are you can teleport and time travel, well, you can roll with that. You don't need anything else. So I think that's what Dylan Cease has to go back to. Like, listen, yeah, I'd like to have more, but I can't find the feel for it. Lean into what I can do and let's go. You know, that or he's having too many margaritas before it starts. I can't tell you.
And as far as the rumors go, a couple of things that popped up today. MLB trade rumors saying Padres among the teams showing interest in Sean Murphy. ESPN's Jeff Passan mentioning that there is a strong interest in Jarren Duran from the Padres. Not breaking news necessarily, but something to think about as we get a little bit closer.
Oh, also, you saw the Orioles opened up shop today, trading one of their best relief pitchers. So Baltimore might all of a sudden be saying, you know what? We're sellers this year. And they were one of those teams we were talking about, Darnay, being on the fence where, maybe now you can go out and you can grab Cedric Mullins. He's not going to be stellar offensively, really good defensively. He's a capable everyday left fielder. So you're kind of opening that door now with maybe another team that has some assets.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to watch. I think you've got to be on TV here in a few minutes. I know I have to be on TV a little bit later. And who knows? Maybe you got another beverage or two to enjoy between now and then. So I don't want to keep you any longer.
It's water. Yeah, again, it's I think I'm not going to talk about the one time that I was having a scotch during a podcast.
Podcast responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, always make sure you do that. And yeah, I know, by the way, like I said, thanks to the folks here because this is a really fun little spot. So Margaritaville, 6th and J. Come check it out, man. Cheese, by the way, these cheeseburgers, you don't have smell-o-vision. I'm going to have to get one. These smell really, really good.
Get that. Have one for me. Enjoy your time out there, and we will catch up with everybody next week after the All-Star break ahead of the second half. Looking forward to it.